Welcome, new and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blackshear, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Coast Standard Time every Newsday, Thursday. Today, we're going to be speaking with Javanka Beckles, who's running for California State Senate for the great state, which, as we all know, Kamal uh, Kamal Harris, Kamala Harris is now running for the president of the United States of this great country. And we need to commend Biden, President Biden, for acknowledging her for the skills that she has presented in regarding to being a person of integrity, a person of equity, a person of equality. So we want to give our shout outs to Kamala Hubbard running for president of this great country and representing the state of California. Thank you, Miss Harris. We acknowledge you and we support you here in Oakland, California. Folks, we have a great day. We have a great show tonight, and we want to acknowledge that Javanka Beckles has been an oh, there she is backstage already. You know what? I normally introduce our Therapeutic Thursday, our Mental Health Thursday. And as you all know, we had a gentleman on a couple of weeks on, Ray Sean. We're going to bring him back on. He's going to be doing what Ashley Coleman had done, Dr. Ashley Coleman had done for the last 2.5 years, who has helped elevated this show to where it is today. And on that note, I want to acknowledge all the great Black women in America who have stood up and is standing out, because I've reached out to Latifah Simon's camp, and Latifah Simon is running for Barbara Lee seat, Congresswoman Honorable Barbara Lee seat. And we are at the Black Business Roundtable are going to continue to support our Black women in this city, in this county, in this state, and in this country, because it's shameful that the Republicans have already jumped on that racist bandwagon, that feminist bandwagon, stating that Black women not only can't lead, but can't be successful in their leadership. So briefly, mental health this day, this month, this year, we need to realize if we have a splinter in our brains, if we feel suicidal, if we feel depressed, alone, please call 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and it is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do not be shameful of reaching out and getting the help that is needed, that's going to make you strong. Therapists, women looking for therapists, please look for therapyforblackgirls.com. And men looking for therapists, please go for therapistforblackmen.org. Once again, therapy for Black, and I said it incorrectly first, is blackgirls.com. And for men looking for therapy is blackwomen.com. And considering you all, I've got injured on the job. I've been under the doctor's order for the last 9, going on 10 months now. And it's been difficult for me to sit for longer than 10 to 15 minutes. So today we're going to dive right in, and I want to present, and let me be clear. In the last election, we supported 6 candidates. 5 of those 6 candidates won the election. In the state of California, in the county of Alameda, and in the city of Oakland, we are being tormented by people who have been elected, who are being faced with challenges. Our mayor of Oakland was raided. And let me be clear here. I've had friends from not only the city of Baltimore, but Florida, Chicago, Atlanta, New Orleans, Little Rock, Arkansas, asking me, what the hell is going on out there in California? You got the FBI raiding your mayor. And, I have to be honest, America. And since Shanghai, China reached out to me a little while ago, I got to be honest. We won't know until FBI submits their information regarding their investigation for Mayor Sheng Thao. I do know that the city of Oakland has been plagued with crime. Just recently, over at right off the Hagenberger corridor, and that is the gateway for the Oakland airport. There's a gentleman named Lynn Turner, a good friend of mine, who owns a building on 8055 Collins Way. And I had been reaching out to the mayor, and finally she did a walkthrough. I got a text from Lynn Turner of CRC, Construction Resource Center, thanking me for getting the mayor and her, the police chief, the city administrator to come out and commit to cleaning up that area in which he lives in, which is plagued with crime, vacant vehicles, people using the bathroom on the streets, and a bunch of other illegal and things that will cause him to be facing challenges. Yes, challenges. He has a building at the end of 8055 Collins Street in Oakland, California, right around the corner from the Oakland Coliseum. And Mayor Sheng Thao and a team went over there yesterday. And Lynn Turner of CRC was almost in tears because they're finally going to address the vacant vehicles, RVs, and other illegal activities that's going on. And he's losing business because people are not using are not renting out his building and offices in his building to conduct his business and conduct their business. And I went over there and it's a shame. So we want to put a shout out to Mayor Sheng Thao. Thank you for taking your team over there. And Lynn Turner, thank you for bringing that up. In addition to that, there's another organization called Helping Hands We Thrive Together at 5800 International Boulevard at the Rainbow Recreational Center. She and her husband, Sister Alice, and brother Lonnie Muhammad have been serving the community for over 3 decades, 30 years. And now the city of Oakland have threatened to remove them from that building. So Mayor Sheng Thao, I'm hoping that you are listening, which I'm sure you are. I want to make sure that you get over there and do whatever you can to help this husband and wife team who have been serving our city, our community, with feeding people and giving people food over the last 3 decades. And on that note, I'm going to cut my introduction short because it is my honor. It is my pleasure. I am truly, truly, truly elated to bring on Javanka Beckel. Before I bring her in to the studio on the screen here, Javanka Beckles has done so much work here in the city of, in the Bay Area. And we need strong people. And this is a season for reasons to bring on strong people. It's not because she's a Black person, a Black woman, but we need strong leaders who are looking to get out there and make a difference. Our Black women have been the strongest group in the entire world. In the world, Craig, in the world, Craig. And we need to promote those sisters because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of strength to get out there, and especially for Black women in the community to represent, to understand, and to bring unity. Kamala Harris, who is running for president of the United States of America, who have been endorsed by a man who has not only ran shotgun for the previous first Black president, but he, a white man, being president, having a Black woman as his vice president. Biden, if you're listening, brother, you got my props. Assalamu alaikum. To that end, we're going to bring in Jovanka. Yo, what's going on, my sister?
Hey, I'm well, thank you. How are you doing, brother? I hope well.
Well, let me be clear here. My producer, who has been out for the last couple of weeks, but I've been trying to run this show by myself, and it's been extremely challenging. And she too is a Black woman. America and Shanghai, China, because I got a call from an email from a brother in Shanghai, China, who says he also watches the show. We want to let you all know that our Black women, for not decades, for not centuries, but for the history of this world, have been demarginalized and have not been given the opportunity to shine. And your opponent, if you choose to come on the show, I'm an urban journalist. So if you want to come on, I have no problem. I'm not going to mention his name. I don't give nobody props. But if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Jovanka, we have almost 50 minutes, 45 minutes, actually 40 minutes for you, not only to tell this audience, but use this platform in your campaign to be a senator in the state of California, to tell our audience who you are, why you are, and what your plan is to address the many needs of this. And being a senator, you have Oakland, Emeryville, Berkeley, Albany, Richmond. Yes. If you can use this platform today, and we're going to be bringing you back, because I said you were coming back 2 weeks ago, and we're back. But use this platform to articulate and educate our audience how important it is that you be elected to represent this region, in addition to what you have done, what you are doing, and what you plan to do to make this county, the city, and cities greater than it is today. I'm turning it over to you, sister. Take it away.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate this invitation. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself to your audience once again. I had the honor of coming on your show. Has it been a week so far? About a week or two ago. So I'm incredibly honored to just have this time to converse with you and to express why this election, this particular race is so important to not just the East Bay, not just California, but really the entire nation. And we have an opportunity. They always say, so, as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation, because California is considered one of the most progressive states, in the nation. And so I'm proud to live here, and I'm proud to have worked as long as I have as a mental health provider. I've been working as a mental health provider for 34 years. 23 of those years were with children. So 11 of those years were with adults. 23 of those years were with our babies, our young people, children and their families. And I've been doing wraparound services for the county. And for those of you who may not know what wraparound services is, it's actually a wonderful approach. It's a wonderful way for people to, for folks to get, I apologize, I getting a phone call and it interrupted my stream. But it's a wonderful way to increase the quality of life, not just for the children and addressing their challenges, whether it be behaviorally or whether it be behaviorally or emotionally. It's a way for us to address those challenges. And most of the time, those challenges occur in school. They occur in the community at home. So I facilitate these meetings with all kinds of providers. I facilitate these meetings with school staff, with social services, with probation, unfortunately, sometimes, with clergy, with whatever support system the family has. I facilitate those meetings, and we develop a plan to help help our children and the families improve their quality of life. And so it's been during that work, during this life work, myself, as a Black Latina, some folks say Afro Latina, as a Black woman, Latin American woman, gay woman, immigrant woman, 5 different categories of marginalized, segment of our community, of our society. Seeing things through that lens has really what motivated me to be able to run for office. And I ran for office because, in addition to the mental health support that our children and our communities, our families need, we also need policies. We need those policies to reflect the care that we say we have, and for our communities. And so I'm proud, because it's because of my work, lived and work experience, that I was able to create the kinds of policies, working together with the community and my other corporate-free colleagues on the Richmond City Council. We were able to pass the first rent control policy in California in 30 years. We were able to ban the box, which is basically enabling formerly incarcerated individuals to gain employment as well as housing. We raised the minimum wage, the first city to do so at the highest rate in the state of California. We held companies, greedy billion-dollar companies like Chevron, held them accountable, forced them to pay their fair share of taxes, and use those monies to provide college scholarships for our Richmond high schoolers. That was, in essence, a game changer, not just for Richmond, but really the entire state of California, because the way we led in Richmond was we put people over profit, the profit of corporations. We put people's needs and the resources our community need first and foremost. And now we see California following the lead in Richmond. We started the ban the box policy just for the city. And now the whole state of California has a ban the box policy. We started addressing rent control and people's inability to afford to live right here in California. We addressed that, and now the whole state. Now we have a rent control, statewide rent control, that will be coming to the ballot. It's called Justice for Renters this November. Right, we were the first ones to raise the minimum wage the most because people were struggling to buy food and basic necessities. And now the state of California has passed, it's what's called Fight for 15, but really we need to fight for a living wage, which really is about $25 an hour. So I can go on and on, but
let me interject.
Have questions? Yes.
Let me interject. Let me interject one thing. As in Black neighborhoods, and especially here in Oakland, I've lived here 61 years, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I got to put this on the table.
Please do.
Black communities have suffered from pollution, from big from the Port of Oakland, trucking,
Yes.
from
Yes.
Chevron
Yes.
in the city of Richmond, and our leaders
Mm.
seem to have abandoned us. I
Mm.
just recently was injured, and I'm not going to go into that, but because it's a process. But
Okay,
can
right.
you talk a little bit about, because you got time, sister? Let me tell you something.
Yes, I love it. I
You
love
hey,
time.
you can let your hair down. Look at me. You can let the hair down because
Let it
this your
down.
show today. Can you talk a little bit about what you are, what you are going to do to address the health issues that
Yes.
plague Black and brown,
Yes.
and now in West Oakland, white people who are
Mm.
being overwhelmed? In Oakland, it was the pollution from the trucking
Yeah.
industry and from the shipping industry. In Richmond, it is from the pollutants from the
Yeah, the
Chevron
refinery.
station. And
Mm-hmm.
they are putting big dollars to defeat people like you who are taking
Yes.
them on, and
Yes.
how you are going corporate free because you are truly concerned.
Yes.
Audience, this is a woman who is concerned about what the hell is going
Yes.
on health wise. I mean, we know
Yes.
what's going on politically, but if our
Yes.
kids are getting sick and
Yes.
dying,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
getting emphysema. So please,
Yes.
you are doing and will do to address those needs. Thank you. Sorry to jump in.
Oh gosh. Well, I think it absolutely starts. The only way we can trust a candidate to follow through with their word, because everybody's going to say what you want to hear. That's what people do. I, on the other hand, uh, I only know the truth. I can only speak the truth, because they say, if it's hard to keep up with lies, and it's a lot easier to keep up with the truth. And so I maintain the truth, no matter how difficult it can be at times. And I also maintain a corporate free stance that you mentioned, because that is how we can trust what people are saying. Right? We can trust people who are not taking money from big oil, from big pharma, right? All these from big um, everything. Corporations are really a destructive force for our democracy. And so they know that when they put a lot of money into a candidate like my opponent, who's taken a lot of money from PG&E, from Uber, from McDonald's, from DaVita, they know that they now have bought themselves a seat. Whereas corporate free candidates like myself, we are doing this for the community. I'm doing this for my community. I'm not doing this to gain any power for myself. I'm doing this to gain power for us. And so that's how you can trust us. So because I'm not taking any money from Chevron and any other fossil fuel industry, the community can trust that I am going to be working on their behalf. In Richmond, we have a high asthma rate. Children tend to have a high asthma rate. Our seniors tend to have a high asthma rate, and other physical ailments that results from the large amount of pollution that's spewed into the air. And we know historically, like these communities that are vastly affected by pollution from polluting industries like the fossil fuel industry, like the coal industry that wants to move coal through Oakland. We successfully fought that in Richmond. I was one of the people that helped to do that, so we don't have to have that problem of having coal and the dust that comes from transporting coals through our community that would affect it. But yeah, historically, these polluters have always they're always stationed, located in communities of color. And so for me, it's a personal thing. It's personal because so much of what goes on, so much of the profit that is gained in these industries come on the backs, right? On the backs and the health of our community. And so who can you trust to hold these folks accountable? You can trust people that's not taking their money. And I'm proud of that, because it's really how we have to have people that are on boss and on bought, if we want to be able to get the resources that we need and that we're fighting for. So that's why on my platform, I do have a Green New Deal, addressing environmental injustice, the environmental injustice that we, those of us in communities of color, often see. My platform also includes addressing the widening gap, right, in income, so our income inequality, and we can do that by, first and foremost, taxing these corporations, like they should be paying their fair share of taxes, which means that we need to reform Prop 13, right, so that they pay their fair share of taxes, and the issue. Oh, go ahead.
Let me just say this. I just want to interrupt briefly. In Oakland, California, like I said earlier, I have my colleagues calling me from all across the country regarding a raid of a mayor's home, campaign contribution issues. And audience, let me just tell you this. If this woman is elected, I truly believe that instead of our time being focused in, and Mayor Shang Tao is a friend of mine. I've been knowing her for over 12 years. She gave me the last year in February, I was nominated, or I was given the Black Person of the Month for Oakland, California. And she's a friend of mine. Pamela Price, who you know, who I'm a friend of hers. We need politicians who are not so embattled into these trivial, and I'm not saying, I mean, let me be clear.
Yeah.
If the FBI raided my house, that ain't trivial. If the FBI raided the mayor's house, that double ain't trivial.
No, exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't know all the ins and outs about that, but from my understanding of you, Jovanka, soon to be Senator Jovanka Beckles, we need candidates like this who aren't embodied into all these investigations, because if you're being investigated, your house is being raided, you are being recalled, how the hell are you gonna get some work done?
Exactly.
So I want to
really
say,
hard.
audience,
That's right.
Jovanka Beckles, I've done homework, and you seem to have a past history that's known, and once you're elected, that is not going to be embodied into all this chaos that is Oakland is faced right now with crime, grime, and businesses closing up, the Hagenberger corridor closing down, with businesses In-N-Out, who's been around 75 years. Oakland has made history for In-N-Out because they've never had a business close down except in Oakland, California. Hilton closing down soon. Denny closing down. Starbucks closing down. People coming to Oakland getting their cars robbed, closing down. So I'm bringing all that up to bring to light, audience, that it is incumbent of us to start electing officials who have a ethical background, to where we're not being embodied into a sideshow. And I've done some research on you, young lady. I'm 61 years old. I've lived in Oakland all my life, and I couldn't find any dirt on you. So unless you took a good bath and cleaned yourself up, you can get out there and do the work.
So, all right. Well, that's the
on that
goal.
note, take it back over. But audience, we have got to move away. Politicians. Yes, that's the goal. Take it away, sister.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think what's happening in Oakland is
take it away. It's all yours.
One of the things that folks criticize Oakland about is the crime and such, and unfortunately that's the corporate media playing their hand, at trying to make a city that has historically been very progressive look bad. But at the same time, I am not going to discount the fact that crime is there is crime. But one of the things that I've done and will continue to do is we need to fund programs that help our young people to get off the street and not feel like they have to take it from others. We have to be able to heal our young people. And I've been a mental health professional for 34 years. I know the fact, I know what a healed human beings can do in their communities. And so we really have to be able to heal our young people, heal the adults as well, so that, we don't have a whole bunch of hurt people hurting other people, right? We have to be able to get to a point where it stops with those individuals. And so, funding for mental health programs and resources is so important. We have to provide alternative to, criminal activity, alternative to some of the, behaviors that we're seeing. And that means, funding youth centers, addressing the root causes of crime is how we will see, crime reduced in Oakland. We also have to be able to address the fact that homelessness is is so high. I just read earlier that the governor has just issued orders to vacate all of the different homeless encampments. And while I hear that, that's not going to solve the problem, because moving people who are not able to afford a place to live or have the resources to do that, moving them from place to place is not the answer. You're not going to stop homelessness by just moving them, because all they're going to do is continue to move from place to place. That's what's going on in Berkeley. My opponent talks about how homelessness is at a record low. Well, that's because they have, swept them up out of Berkeley. And of course, now they're going to move to other cities. And that's why having a regional approach to addressing homelessness, a regional approach to increasing our affordable housing is really what's going to matter. And so we need regional bond measures, regional strategies to enable people to be able to afford a place to live. And so, these are the ways that we address, income inequality, address folks, who are hurting other people. It has to be funded, and we have to address the widening gap between those who have and those who don't have, because the wider that gets, the angrier those who don't have get. And unfortunately, the people that are next to them are the ones who are going to feel that wrath, not the people who put them in that situation in the first place. And so for me, addressing income inequality is really important. My platform, I talk about ways to do that. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about reparations. I think reparations it's far long overdue. And I appreciate the Legislative Black Caucus addressing the issue of reparations for Black Californians. That's one thing. Making sure that corporations pay their fair share of tax.
Let me chime in. Let me chime in real quick. I say this, and I get all these old guys, old gatekeepers who are, and I use this term a lot. We got a lot of house niggas running around here who are being paid and played to control the masses of people. And my goal here on the Black Business Roundtable is to point out those house niggas, them old niggas, move them to the side. And you aren't playing that game. Javanka Beckles, audience, this is not her talking. This is Doug Blackshear talking. And that's one reason why I got the #1 show on the East Coast on blackusa.news, because I keep it real.
All right.
We got to get these house niggas out. We got to get these old niggas out And we got to get some young people in there who's going to be for the Gen Z and start moving this country forward.
Yeah.
Because right now, Oakland, Alameda County, state of California, and the United States of America is being plagued by these old ass niggas who want to keep in power, keep their little penny, and run the masses, the field niggas. And they're being paid by the masters. So that goes to what you are saying here, Javanka, that you are corporate free.
Yeah, that's right. That is so important.
Like look out for the people who have been demarginalized, people who don't have money to compete.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the, Project 2025. Like it's just something that'll only come into play if we elect, someone like, a criminal, thug like Donald Trump. No, this stuff is already in play. They're already buying politicians all over the country. They're buying people running for school board and city councils and state offices like mine. They are buying people. And when you do that, so that whole, the issue of Project 2025, as it plays out locally is always follow the money. Who's taking money from whom? If someone is taking money from these corporations that are funding this project, right, that are funding white supremacy and Zionism and fascism, if they are taking money from them, they are contributing to our rights being taken away. And that's why I say corporations are a danger to our democracy, and any candidate, the candidates that are taking money from them are also enabling these corporations to be able to take away our rights and our freedoms. And so it's in play in this race. You have someone like me who's corporate free, and then you have my opponent who's corporate funded, right? And someone said, people know the connection, right? They know the connection between people who are taking money from corporations versus those who don't, and versus how much and resources we are able to get. And so I want folks to understand how important that is. And I think that people, for the most part, do. I was at an event in Oakland on Temescal. And I ran into a sister and I told her, I'm corporate free. And I said, you know what that means, right? And she said, oh yeah, absolutely. She said, and we said it together. I said, well, yeah, that means when you take money from these corporations, they own you. And so imagine, as I said, they own you. She said, it means they bitch. And that's not my words. That's a quote unquote. And she says, oh yeah, I can say that, I know, but you can't. So people get it. When you take corporate money, you now are owned. You now owe them favor. They now own you, not the not the community, not the voters, but these folks. And so if we want to not see their project, this plan that's been in play for years and years now, if we want to see this project killed and die, we have to start electing corporate free candidates who are not going to play into the playbook of white supremacy, Zionism, and fascism. I love that, Zug. I love that people get it. And of course, because candidates like myself don't take corporate money, that means we have to depend on the voters, right? Because you want a piece, you want a seat at the table, then let's elect folks who are going to put people over profit in every single decision making, every policy decision making opportunity. So that's what I'm there for. I'm there to give all of us a seat at the table, not just me, Javanka Beckles. And this is a movement for working class people, a movement for us to be able to finally get the things that we need, and not just settling for crumbs, right? Some crumbs from people who are like, well, I'm centrist, I'm a moderate. I think that's fine. And in this race, we're going to need everybody at the table. We're going to need folks who identify as lefty or progressives or or centrist or moderate or even conservative, we're going to all need to get in, be unified if we don't want to see our rights stripped away. Yes, indeed. Oh, I cannot hear you. I can't hear you, brother. Brother Doug,
What?
There we go.
Oh, hold on. Here we go. What does it mean to be a corporate free candidate for our audience who doesn't
Yes.
understand
Mm.
that? Because
Yes.
people go, corporate free candidate, what does that mean?
What does
Tell
that
our audience,
mean?
what does that mean?
To be corporate free means that I don't take any money from any corporation. When you think about the kinds of corporations that try their best to break up workers from forming unions, the kinds of companies that not only want to break it up, but keep workers from unionizing, the kinds of companies that exploit us, the kinds of company that take drain every ounce of blood and sweat from us, like PG&E. So we know PG&E, it earns at least $2.2 billion in the, per quarter. They earn a lot of money. So imagine if I took their money. If I took their money, they're like, hey, Javanka, here's $5,000 for your election. Now I owe them, right? So now they just bought themselves a seat. That means that when it comes time to hold them accountable, right, and have some regulations, regulatory consequences for what they do, I would, and this is hypothetical, if I were to be taking their money, now I would be creating laws and policies that make sure they make more money. And off the time, that what does that mean? Then that means that the rest of us, make less money. So being corporate free means I am not beholden to any corporation. I'm only beholden to the people. And so what's more important to me is what's going to uplift my community, not what's going to enrich the bottom line and fatten the pockets of these corporations that want to buy politicians to keep their wealth and keep us poor.
As a candidate to be our first Black senator for this district elected in over 30 years, what does representation mean to you, and why does it matter? Thank you.
Representation matters. As you mentioned, Brother Doug, it's been almost 30 years since we've had a Black woman representing the very diverse East Bay. It has been 30 years. Barbara Lee was the last senator elected to this office, Black person, and representation matters, because when you talk about 40 senators in the state of California and only 2 of them currently are Black, one of them is going to be termed out, which means that would leave with 1 senator, Black senator in the whole state of California. That's not only an insult, it's an injustice, because in order for us to create policies that affect the most marginalized in our state, it's important to have representation, people who have had that lived and work experience. Representation matters because it also inspires young people to see, like, wow, a little Black young girl, little Latina young girl, little boy, girl, when they see themselves being represented in positions of power, it really creates hope. And right now in this country and the state, we see so many people feeling hopeless. But when we see ourselves in someone running for office that pledges and promising to only represent them, that makes a big difference. It makes a difference in the kinds of policies that are passed. When you're talking about representation and the importance of it, it's talking about people being able to get the resource that they need. And so I say that in me, not only are we getting someone that looks like the majority of us in this district, but we're getting someone who understands the struggles that we have as Black, Latino, Black people and people of color, queer people, immigrant folk, women, and the threats to just women's health in general
Okay.
is on the table. So yeah, representation matters. Representation matters big time, Doug. And I know sometimes people are like, well, I'm not going to vote for somebody just because
Let me
they're
ask
Black.
you this.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Under your tenure, the Alameda County Transit System was given a national award for excellence.
Yes.
What are your plans for California transit system? Thank you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, because I'm currently an AC Transit board director, I am committed to ensuring that our transit system is funded. Right now, we're looking at a fiscal cliff. And what they mean by that, what they mean by this fiscal cliff is that we're running out of funds to be able to have a thriving, healthy transit system. But that won't happen, not under my watch, not if I can help it. I believe that if we have people who understand the significance and the importance of everyone being able to get where they need to go, having the transportation that they need and deserve, having it be consistent and reliable, is so important. But you mentioned the 2023 award that AC Transit had gotten. We got the best transportation system in North America, and I am I'm proud of the fact that we were able to do that during my tenure. And in fact, the reason we even were able to get the attention that we got was because of the policies that I brought forward. And so AC Transit, people noticed this transit system in the California, Oakland East Bay. What's going on with them? We just heard that they just gave their workers appreciation pay. What in the world? We just heard that they provided PPE for the workers as well as the operators. What? We just heard that they provided protective barriers for their operators. That is incredible. And you know what, Brother Doug? Every last one of those policies were policies that I brought forward to the agency, and it gained national attention, national recognition for excellence. And I'm so proud that it's these types of innovative policies that it works, but it also is it's forward thinking, right? It's progressive. It shows the kind of leadership that I provide, and the kind of leadership that I provide comes from collaboration with the community. And so collaboration with the workers, collaboration with the community who went, and we organized, and we went to the Metropolitan Transportation System, MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, and demanded that they release these rainy day funds. So they released $66 million, and I directed staff to provide appreciation pay for the workers. So AC Transit workers who were essential workers during the pandemic got between $2,000 and $4,000 because they had to show up to work, and people like me, I got to work online. They had to get out of bed and go and interact with people, and in some time, many of them ended up getting COVID and such. So they deserve to be appreciated financially, as well as just having safety precautions in place. So yeah, these are things that I did. This is how I work, and I intend to do some pretty innovative, progressive things at the state that will benefit us, that will improve the quality of life for us, our community. And I believe
we have less we have less than 10 minutes.
Wow, time
You've
flies.
been endorsed by senators like Nina Turner, my sister out of
Ohio.
well, that's because
Yes.
everything you're saying is so valuable. You've been endorsed by senators like Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders, as
Yes.
well as your coalition of supporters. And why
Yes.
is that?
Yeah, you know why that is so? Because I have been consistent. I have been someone who have made promises and actually kept them. I'm someone who people, not just these folks, but people in the community have seen in the trenches with them. And so the community trusts me. And that's really key. Because everybody, as I mentioned, they're gonna get up there and talk about stuff that they're gonna do. But if they haven't been doing it, then how can people trust them? And I have been doing the work. I have been doing the work for not just the community, but I have been doing the work to save our planet. Because if we don't have a planet to live on, nothing else really matters. But I'm really proud to have gotten, and I'm endorsed by so many unions as well as grassroots organizations. And these grassroots organizations, they don't just endorse people lightly. They watch you, they look at your record, they track what you've been doing or not doing in some cases before they make their endorsement. So organizations like renters organizations, the Berkeley Tenants Union, hoping to get the Oakland Tenants Union as well. I'm hoping to be able to work with them as well. The California Renters Caucus. Oh my goodness, the Oakland East Bay Democratic Club, ACE, which is an organization that advocates for homeowners, whether they're renters or not. My goodness, the Working Family
I gotta say this.
wow, Black women organized for this election. All right. RPA.
I gotta say this about the Oakland East Bay Democratic Club. On the board. I'm on the executive board on labor, on chair of labor and economic development.
Yes.
So yes. That's my committee right there.
That's right.
As we wrap this up,
right.
I got one very important question. You've been outspoken as a leader in the ceasefire, as the only ceasefire candidate in this race.
Yes.
Why does this matter as a local issue, and what difference you from your
that's the difference. There's so many ways in which I'm absolutely different than my opponent. One of them is my position on what's going on this genocide that's happening to the Palestinian people, and seeing so many elected officials. Oh my gosh, the display yesterday on Capitol Hill was really nauseating. Watching these folks applaud and give standing ovations to a man who's carrying out a genocide against all these brown people, these people in Palestine, these children. It was pretty abhorrent. But my opponent, on the other hand, has done everything that he can to quiet people, to shut people down as they try to encourage him to bring forward a resolution. He shut that down. He's also, he's taken trips to Israel. So, I imagine he's going to also be getting a lot of money from AIPAC that does their best to unseat particularly Black progressive candidates. That's the one way that we're different. The other way we're different is he takes corporate money. I don't. And the other way that we differ is I have been working all my life, practically since I was 16 years old, and half the time doing 3 jobs: working as a mental health professional, being an elected official, and then of course you throw in running for office. 3 jobs at once, and I feel like as Black women, we always have to work so much harder than everybody else. Meanwhile, my opponent went to college, graduated, was elected to the city council, elected to mayor, and now he wants to be a senator. And this man has not had any job, real, you know, I say, when I say a real job, I don't mean to basically say that what we do as public officials is not a job. It really is. It's, in fact, it's a lot, and it's admirable and honorable. But when we're talking about the need for labor to have representation, a seat at the table, you know, I am labor. I have been working all my life. I started off working at a theater in high school while being an athlete in school. I worked doing college while being an athlete, and, you know, and trying to study, and now I am, you know, have been working while trying to create policies. This would be the first job that I would have in elected office that would be full time, and I wouldn't have to have a second job to do it. So I tell people, look at what I've managed to accomplish while working full time. Imagine what we can do together, with me being the sole focus in my life, this being a full-time job. Imagine what we can do together. So that again, such a stark contrast between my opponent and myself. And this issue is clearly one that we should all be concerned about, because even though it's happening across the world, it's still fascism, it's still Zionism, it's still white supremacy trying to take hold. You have a group of people who came in and basically said, you know what, we're gonna take this. We like this land. We about to take this. You know, be on your way. Now imagine, you know, this happened in America, right? When you know the colonizers, the colonial folk came and did the same thing to, you know, Native Americans, pushed them out, you know, killed them, and claimed this land that was not theirs. And so, you know, when people say that this has nothing to do with us, it absolutely does, because it's about white supremacy throughout the world. And so Palestinian liberation is absolutely connected to our liberation right here in California and in these United States.
Well, as we wrap this up, audience, America, Oakland, Alameda County, state of California, and all across the United States. And I say that because there are people who live here, who have lived here, who have moved across the United States, who watch my show. Tell a friend about Javanka Becko.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Strong Black women. We thank you for coming on today. Audience, remember Carlton of North Carolina, brother who was put in jail because he was defending his business and his patrons. Audience, look out for Enzo. And audience, remember that Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News, we are planning to put together a Black Wall Street Award program. And Javanka, we're asking you to be a special guest as we put that together. And let's be clear. Tune in Thursday at 4 p.m.
All right.
Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time on YouTube, Facebook, and live on Instagram. Meet us after the show on Instagram Live. Javanka for coming on today.
If I may say,
and as we wrap up,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Y'all Google me, Javanka Beckles. Go to my website, javanka4casenate.com, and donate, y'all, because I only take money from us, from working class people, you know, struggling to get a little seat at the table. And so this is how we fund ourselves in gaining that seat at the table. Thank you so much for having me, brother. I appreciate it. And I look forward to coming back and having this discussion with you.
And you will be back. And audience, remember, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is from Doug Blackshear and Dr. Ashley Coleman on the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night.
Good night. Good day. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, girl, yeah, and you did outstanding. It's taking a little longer
Oh,
to cut
thank you
off.
so